Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Thomas and welcome to my channel Mr. Ryguy92. Today my video will be dedicated to UFC 170. Ronda Rousey puts her title on the line against former silver medalist in wrestling, a former silver medalist Olympian, Sara McMann. Both fighters go into this fight undefeated. Rousey, I believe, is 8-0, McMann is 7-0. So very intriguing storyline heading into that fight, as both fighters have medaled in the Olympics under judo in Rousey and wrestling in Sara McMann. I'm very excited for this fight. It's a very quick turnaround for Ronda Rousey, as she is just coming off a victory by armbar, of course, in the third round over Miesha Tate on December 22nd. So less than 2 months later, she's fighting once again, defending her title under the UFC banner. And the co-main event of that card is Daniel Cormier versus Patrick Cummins, a new up-and-coming fighter that has stepped in to replace the injured Sugar Rashad Evans for this fight. There's a backstory to this fight, which I'll talk about more in the coming minutes, but I want to talk a little bit about the Rousey-McMann main event. I think Rousey will retain the title, but I think that it will be the toughest fight that she has ever had, and I'll tell you why. I think Sara McMann is the toughest test that she's had to face. Rousey is a judo fighter. McMann is a wrestling-based fighter. Judo and wrestling is a very classic MMA matchup of styles, a very contrasting stylistic matchup between judo and wrestling, and usually wrestling wins, because if you are taken down by a judo competitor and you have a huge pedigree in wrestling, you're going to be able to get back to your feet better than an average person. Basically, average person meaning the type of people that Rousey has fought. Liz Carmouche is not really as well talented on the ground, and neither is Miesha Tate. Sara McMann is. Sara McMann has been able to get up off her back in her previous fight with Sheila Gaff in the UFC, which is her only fight in the UFC. But she is for real. If Sara McMann can take Rousey down and put her on her back, then and keep her there, then that could be where Rousey could get into some trouble. I do think that women's MMA is on the uprise. I think that it's a very exciting thing. I think it's good for the sport. I think it brings new eyes to the sport, not only female eyes, but eyes in general. And I think it's great for the UFC. I think what Ronda Rousey does to market herself is incredible. I think that she's a great champion. What she's done in the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, is incredible. I think that she has done a lot for the sport of MMA, and she's going to emerge as one of the company's main faces now that GSP is retired and Anderson Silva has lost his title to Chris Weidman for the second straight time. She remains one of the big faces in the sport, along with John Jones and Cain Velasquez and the before-mentioned Chris Weidman. The co-main event, Daniel Cormier versus Patrick Cummins. The backstory to this fight is that Daniel Cormier is making his debut in the 205-pound division at light heavyweight. He is very, very, very well-rounded, striking-wise, wrestling-wise. He is a former Olympian himself in wrestling, a national collegiate champion at Oklahoma State, and the fight with him and Rashad Evans was going to be very interesting. I would have actually picked Rashad Evans to win that fight if that fight were to go on to take place. But now that Rashad Evans is hurt and out for the next 6 months due to a knee injury that was done in training, I see Cormier winning this fight against Patrick Cummins, not because of the fact that Cummins is not good skills-wise, but I just think Cormier is too good for Cummins to overtake. But to do a little profile on Patrick Cummins, the guy is 4-0. The combined opponent's record that he's faced is 10-21, which is not too impressive as far as the caliber of guys that he's fighting against. He's never fought on a big stage, never fought on Strikeforce or the UFC up until this point, never fought in the WEC or anything like that. But he does train at Rain Training Center with Mark Munoz and Chael Sonnen and Jason Mayhem Miller, who is now throwing his hat back into the ring, so to speak. But that is a very well-established training center, training with wrestlers like Mark Munoz and Chael Sonnen. will only do things to help Patrick Cummins in the upcoming fight against Daniel Cormier, in my opinion. I've watched film on him too, and his athletic pedigree is through the roof. For a guy of his size, he's 6'4", 205 pounds. He's taller than Cormier. He's bigger than Cormier, even though Cormier formerly fought at heavyweight, falling under the similar path that Rashad Evans first fell through when his UFC debut came through. He was fighting as a heavyweight on The Ultimate Fighter. So very, very interesting that Cormier's career has kind of reflected Rashad Evans in a way, but without that UFC title. And it would have been really great to see those two guys fight. I'm sure they will once Rashad's injury is all healed. But this is the fight now. Daniel Cormier versus Patrick Cummins, the co-main event. I see Cormier taking it, but do not be surprised if Cummins is able to pull it off. He has been in the 205-pound weight class longer. As I mentioned earlier, Cormier is making his debut in the 205-pound weight class, and Cummins has fought at 205. They have trained together, Cummins claiming that he has made Cormier cry on multiple occasions during training. Whether that's believable or not, Cormier has yet to deny it, saying that what happens in the wrestling room is left in the wrestling room. So that kind of says to me that it is true that that did happen, that he was able to break Cormier in the wrestling room. Very interesting stuff, but I see Cormier winning that fight. The third fight, and a fight that has really flown under the radar for a lot of fans, a fight that not that many fans have talked about, is Rory MacDonald versus Damian Maia. This fight was promoted as the co-main event for about a day or two when the Cormier-Rashad fight was scrapped. This fight was promoted as the co-main event, and I think that on a Fox Sports 1 card, this could be a really good co-main event, or even a good main event. Rory MacDonald is coming off a loss to Robbie Lawler, one that was a split decision, but I saw it as the same way as Robbie Lawler winning that fight, and now Robbie Lawler's fighting for the title in March against Johnny Hendricks, and Damian Maia is coming off a loss as well, a loss to Jake Shields, which was very shocking. I thought that he would be able to go through Jake Shields, being the fact that the fight was also in Brazil and he was unable to do so. So both fighters coming off losses, both ranked inside the top 10 in the UFC's welterweight division, with or without GSP, in my opinion. And their styles are really interesting. Rory MacDonald saying that he will eventually go up to middleweight at some point in his career. Damian Maia formerly fought at middleweight, fighting against Anderson Silva for the middleweight strap in 2010, and to obviously bad results. It was one of the more boring fights in UFC history. But Rory MacDonald is a very big fighter. He's probably 6'1", which is very big for a welterweight height-wise. He's long, he's lanky. He's kind of like the new style welterweight that everybody talks about, that could eventually down the road emerge as a threat at 170 for whoever the champion may be. We'll find that out in March when Johnny Hendricks fights Robbie Lawler for the vacant welterweight belt. But Damian Maia, as I mentioned, he fought at middleweight once before for a long stretch of time, and now he is coming back fighting as a welterweight, and has fought to some good results. His only loss being against Jake Shields. So hopefully we have a good fight on that between MacDonald and Maia. Hopefully it's not a very boring battle between the two fighters. I do see Maia winning that. I think his submission pedigree is too high for MacDonald to handle. Too much for MacDonald to handle, I should say. And I see it being the main event Rousey, the co-main event Cormier, and the third fight Damian Maia. Those are my predictions for UFC 170. Thanks for watching, guys, and comment on the comment section below. Thanks a lot.